Hello everyone! I am finally filming hopefully a quick video because I'm sick of doing long videos that take me weeks to create and I want to put something up. So what I want to review or compare, and it's going to be like first impressions, but I might do like a slight wear test thing on them. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm Beauty Light Wand. This is like a highlighting cream blush. Look, the Pinkgasm range also has highlighters in it, so depending on the shade you can use, and your skin tone, you can either use it as a highlighter or a blush or whatever, a bronzer, whatever you want to do. Now this is the shade Pinkgasm and it's a mini. I got this in a Christmas pack. I think it's really beautiful. I don't usually use pink blushes too much, but I think it's beautiful. I get the hype around this. Now full size is 12 mils and it's in Australia it's $55. It's often sold out at Mecca, and there's a brand on the Australian market, MCoBeauty. Now they copy things. Like this is a blatant copy. Look, it's a different shade. I decided to buy this one in the peach shade. So this is Peach Glow. They do have a dupe for the pink one. So I will be comparing different colors. The only reason why I picked different colors is because I don't want to have multiples of the same thing. Like I want my makeup collection to be realistic. Like I want to be able to use it. I don't want dupes, like multiple dupes of the same thing. I just feel like it's a waste. So I did get the peach color, but you can get a pink color dupe for it. They recently brought out a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and the packaging looks virtually the same. I was on their website checking prices of these, and they also have like lipsticks that look like NARS lipsticks. They sell because they're like the Australian version of Makeup Revolution when they were doing like the fake chocolate bar palettes and whatnot. So they're mainly known for their fake makeup. This I bought at Woolworths. It was 40% off. They currently still have 40% off. So I think the Woolies sales ends, I think they usually have their sales end, I think it's Tuesday night. So I'll try to have this video up this weekend. So if you do want to check it out, 40% off I think is the most I've seen this brand reduced, maybe 50%, but 40% is pretty good. Now this is also 12 mils and it is normally $29. So it's still not like, for a dupe that you can get from the supermarket, it's not that much cheaper. Like you actually have to find it 40% off to make it a fairly cheap thing. I got it under 20 bucks because it was 40% off, but yeah, normally nearly 30 bucks. It's quite a lot. I also want to say that I'm going to try not to be biased. I have a history, opening this now. I have a history with not MCoBeauty, but they used to be called Model Co Beauty, and Model Co, they brought out MCoBeauty. I think it was like to be the supermarket version, and MCoBeauty, now this is going back like 12 years, so I don't remember the exact situation, but I remember I reviewed something on my blog. So I started blogging like 12 years ago, and then I transitioned to YouTube. For a while I did both, and then I switched to YouTube and deleted my blog. But on my blog I reviewed something, and one of their PR people got on my blog and were like being really nasty in the comments, and it just made like the whole brand, in my opinion, really, really sour, and really like I didn't want to support them ever. So the fact that I bought this, it was only on recommendation. I've heard some people say that they think this formula is better than the Charlotte Tilbury one. So I have been waiting for a sale to check it out, but I just wanted to let you know that I will judge the product fairly, but I don't like the brand. I don't like copying culture. I feel like I'm sure Charlotte Tilbury's lawyers are going to be contacting them about trying to like almost identically copying their packaging. It's very misleading. I think it's dodgy, but I also like a bargain. And if I can get something that's really, really beautiful, cheaper than Charlotte Tilbury prices, you know which one I'm going to be buying in the future. All right, so in terms of packaging, like the Charlotte Tilbury one, the font and the logo just looks so much nicer, but everything is very similar. The caps are slightly different. This has like an angled sort of cap to it. This is perfectly round. All right, you can see that that is virtually identical in terms of the applicator. It's both a sponge applicator. They both have a locking mechanism, which I really like. So you can release it and squeeze out the product, or you can lock it. And it means that if you've got this in your makeup bag, it doesn't just release and squeeze out when you don't want it to. So they've got the same mechanism. It looks like they they took this to a factory and said, make it identical. It even has the same like little triangle. I'm not sure if you can see, but the triangle to indicate like where to lock it. It's got very, very similar font, very, very similar packaging. It almost looks identical. It could be from the same packaging manufacturer, but there's slight font differences and whatnot that makes it look like it's just been copied. But yeah, they've tried to copy it. All right, I've unlocked this and let's try to squeeze some out, get the satisfying squeeze on camera. There it goes. So as you squeeze it out, it goes through holes in the sponge and then you can swatch it. So that's the MCoBeauty Peach Glow, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm. I've just got to squeeze it. I've used this actually a bit. Whoa, too much, too much. Okay, I'm going to be using some of that on my face because that is a waste. But you can see that they are similar consistency. Blend it out. It gives you this beautiful sort of glow, beautiful sort of blush highlighter in one, which I really, really like. All right, let's put it on. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very disappointed in myself for over squeezing the Charlotte Tilbury one because it's expensive and I really like it. So I'm going to start with Charlotte Tilbury and I'm going to just dot a little bit on. Do I use my fingers or do I use a brush? I'm going to start with my fingers. I'm going to put the cap on this because I don't want any more lost. All right, just going to blend this out with my finger. Now I do have a matte foundation on and I've powdered, but I've just tried to avoid powdering the sides of my face. I just powdered the center just so I can get this, like I didn't want this to have to apply this in a finicky way where I'm like, if it needs to be on unset skin and da-da-da and special foundation and blah, 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 blah. Like I wanted it to be fairly accurate of how I wear my makeup, and being an oily skin person, like I want a bit of glow, but I also want something that's set and won't budge. And I just feel like this shows that it doesn't lift your base. It gives this beautiful glow. I'm going to turn that down. You can see it's quite pink, but it gives a beautiful highlighted effect. I wasn't wearing any blush, bronzer, highlighter underneath, and that just gives a really beautiful, I feel like this is a good way to trick people into thinking that you've got nice glowy skin when you actually have a set matte base, because I know the daily struggle of trying to wear like something glowy and then just breaking down halfway through the day on my oily skin. So this is a way that gives that glowy effect, but you can put it on a set base, which is why I like these products. I think they're really, really pretty. Okay, now I'm going in with MCoBeauty, and look, I didn't squeeze out nearly as much as I did the other side. So it's definitely a different color, which is fine. I believe the Charlotte Tilbury one is also much lighter. So the pink one's just a darker sort of color. I can already see that this is starting to, I'm not going to say lift my foundation, but it's disrupting my foundation. So underneath I can see patches where the foundation was sitting and now it's starting to sort of rub off. I'm just picking up a little bit more from the swatch on my hand. I don't want to have to go in and dot too much more on. I've let this sit for a good 5-10 minutes. I wanted to see how they feel when they've settled down. I was also talking to my mum on the phone who's got her car stuck in a ditch. That's a fun way to spend your weekend. Let's talk about how these have set and how they're settling down and just my impressions of the formula. Firstly, I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury one is a little bit less tacky, so it's set a little bit more. I was sort of touching this as I was on the phone, and I've noticed that as I touch it, this does lift a little bit more. So they both have a little bit of a tendency to lift your makeup, but I just feel like, yeah, it's one of those products that you have to put on, not touch too much, like lightly put it on and then just sort of let it go. Because if you do start touching it too much, it can start lifting the base underneath because the moist formula has sort of mixed in with your base, which is fine. This is gorgeous. It gives a beautiful sort of pink flush with this gorgeous champagne glow. Love it. I think it's gorgeous. It is a shade that I think emphasizes my redness in my face, which is why I don't love pink blushes, but I like this. I think it's really pretty. I think this is prettier. I don't know if it's because of the formula, because they are different shades. I think it is just more the shade that I chose. I think it works a little bit more flawlessly with my skin tone. I don't think it emphasizes any redness, and I think it gives you that same sort of beautiful champagne glow, and it looks, I also feel like this is my less textured side, so I think it looks really flawless and really smooth, whereas this side is a little bit more textured. So sorry, Charlotte Tilbury, you're automatically at a disadvantage. But I think, look, I think they're close enough that if I put them on and I didn't see the brand, I wouldn't be able to tell which one I'm using. So are these dupes? Obviously the colors are not, because they're different colors, but you can get a peach version in this, you can get a pink version in this. So I think they're good enough to be dupes. I'm going to wear this for a good 5 or 6 or 7 hours. I will check back in with any significant difference with wearing. If one starts to break down my makeup throughout the day, or one really sets in place and locks in and is really long wearing, like if there's anything to note, I will. But I'm going to say that yes, I think this is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one. All right, I was hoping this was going to be a really simple review, and it's just like, yeah, they're dupes, they're pretty, and you can get this one cheap and do it, because saving money is great. This is about an hour on. This is Charlotte Tilbury, looking gorgeous, like there's no difference. This is the Model Co one. I don't know if you can see. Oh, I'll try to figure it out. Hang on. All right, I'm not sure if you can see. I just looked in the mirror, and Charlotte Tilbury, it's intact. So the base is looking fine. Can you see? Can you see how the makeup underneath the MCoBeauty one has just sort of rubbed off? I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about, but there, it's like gone patchy all of a sudden. Ah, so frustrating. Okay, it's been probably about 3.5 hours, and there hasn't been much change from like the 1 hour check-in. So from a distance, this looks fine, but if I do look close up, it has broken down my base and it's looking quite patchy. I don't know if we can, look, you can see it here. It's hard to capture, but yeah, if you catch the light, it's like, no problem. But when it's not catching the light, it does look patchy. Whereas the Charlotte Tilbury one still looks really good. Okay, I'm ready to take this off. It's been nearly 8 hours and they really haven't, it hasn't degraded anymore. So even though I did see wearing off and I can still see that it's patchy on my cheek, my foundation's patchy. The rest of it, like, it hasn't really degraded that much more. One thing I have noticed is that the blush is still on here and it's still looking nice and shiny. Whereas here, the color almost looks like it's completely gone and it's just a little bit of the highlighter left. Look, before I saw how this started wearing, I made a conclusion. I thought if it wears the same, I'm going to conclude that I prefer the Model Co side, or the MCoBeauty side, sorry. I think I like the color more. I think it looked just as nice as the Charlotte Tilbury one, but after seeing how it wears a bit, I think the Charlotte Tilbury one sets a bit better and the MCoBeauty one stays tacky a bit longer, which just means it degrades the base a bit more, but then it eventually sets and it doesn't degrade any further. My hunch would be that if you've got drier skin, you would like this one, the MCoBeauty, because it does stay tacky longer. Whereas if you have oily skin, I think you'll like the setting ability. Like, it still feels moist, but it sort of locks into place, the Charlotte Tilbury one. So I think it just depends on your skin type. I think it's going to come down heavily to skin type. For me personally, even though I like that this one is under $18 when it's on sale, I'm not going to go back and buy more of them because the degrading of my base is one of my biggest issues when it comes to makeup. Whenever I try to put anything dewy on and try to make my skin look dewy, I find that my base breaks down, and it's a big pet peeve of mine. The fact that they started doing it within an hour, I was not happy with. So I personally would spend the money on something that stays looking nice on my base all day. That to me is worth the money, but to other people, it won't be worth the money. If your base doesn't break down as easily as mine does, you can probably get away with the more affordable option. It's very, very pretty. I just think what this test has shown me is that I want the Charlotte Tilbury one in peach. But yeah, they're both very nice. Look, I think this is also a nice one to check if you like the effect of it. So you can test at a cheaper price point if you like the look of this sort of, and the texture of this blush. But if you want something that lasts, Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury is the winner for me. And there was part of me that was going to go back to Woolies and buy another shade or two of this. I think I might try the bronzer, but yeah, this one wins. Look how beautiful it is still. Love it. Anyway, that's my review. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and let me know if you've tried these, what you think about them, and also what your skin type is, because I think a big difference will come down to your skin type. But on first application, they look very similar, they feel very similar, they just wear slightly differently on me, and I value that highly, 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 highly. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.